Hello lovelies, how are you all doing today? I hope you are well. I am. It's a lovely warm day in the garden today. The air is so still. I need to actually clear some of the table. I was out here yesterday doing some work, repotting some of my house plants. Just going up one pot size, refreshing their compost. Let's just pop them down here for the minute. You will notice since I last spoke to you, I got the table made. Yay! Despite the old ribs. Right, let me sit you down, catch up on what I've been doing, and we'll get going with today. Good. So, the new table, brilliant. I was watching the price, it was coming down and down and down, and I decided to pounce, and I'm so glad I did, because now I've got somewhere to sit and eat, either on my own or with friends, but also I've now got a potting table. Yay! It makes life so much easier. When I was out here yesterday doing the house plants, it was a breeze. It was a little bit tricky to put together. Excuse me. I've had a really weird scratchy tickle all day, so if I clear my throat or cough, I apologise in advance. Loads, it was flat packed, and loads of the holes, the pre-drilled screw holes, they just didn't line up. No matter, I got my drill out, made new holes, it's together, it's grand. I can take the legs off and store it in the shed over winter. For the summer I did get a cover for it, so that if it's just a couple of days of rain, I want to leave it out here, get it covered. But I'm delighted, really happy. And for the final stage of getting it, because I made it with the table facing down so the legs were up, to get it up with these broken ribs, I kind of used my legs, kicked it up. So that's in a way the subject of today is, as I previously mentioned, it's about just changing a mindset when you get an injury or you have, you're poorly for a while. Obviously, it depends how bad your injury is and there are going to be some limitations. But, when I first broke my ribs, so it's 2 weeks and 2 days since then, my first thought was, I was really angry, really frustrated, really mad, because I thought, now I can't clear the rest of the shade garden. And I was on a real roll as well. So I was like, Anyway, that lasted for about 10 minutes of allowing myself that time to be fed up and frustrated that I can't do that. But then I said to myself, right, what can I do? So that's what this is all about. What can I do with an injury? What can you do if you've got a bit of an injury? So for me, the limitation is lifting anything too heavy, digging, of course. So what can I do? Right, well, apart from anything else, so I bought some terracotta pots. I think I've showed them to you already, I'm not sure. Classic terracotta. It works in any garden with anything. What is that noise? It's an odd noise, never mind, we'll ignore it. And also in terms of the cost of pots, it's pretty much the cheapest you can go, other than plastic. And I don't want to do plastic pots, so they weren't too bad in price. So I ordered them, I had them delivered, because again, the weight of them carrying, whether I've got broken ribs or not. And at the same time, I ordered some saucers. Ostensibly these are for using indoors, but I didn't notice, I'm kicking myself, they weren't the ones that are glazed on the inside. So I always use the ones that are glazed on the inside, so that any water that drips through gets caught in the saucer, and then later on it can be wicked back up into the soil. But more than that, for surfaces at home, it doesn't come through onto the surface and stain your wood, for example. So what I've done with these is I've just used some varnish. I've varnished on the inside. Don't know if it's worked. We'll test them in a minute. So I've got 3 of them, but one of them is actually underneath my courgette plant. because one of the courgettes, it's right touching onto the soil, and obviously with watering it gets quite moist down. I don't want it to start rotting, so where the courgette is pointing down like this, I've just slipped the dish underneath. Hope that'll work. Other things to do today. So I've got myself a brown paper bag and an elastic band. I'm going to try and save. It's a really odd noise. What is it? Oh, is it a cement mixer churning around? Should we ignore it? Yeah, let's ignore it. The white valerian that Paul fancies, I'm going to try and save some seeds from that for him. So I'm going to slip the paper bag over the flower head, elastic band, hopefully catch some seeds. And talking of seeds, this is so lovely. This was a gift that came through the post from my friend Gary back in London. Anyone who used to watch my allotment videos, you will have seen bits and bobs of Gary's allotment, but yeah, good friend. And he has sent me, so these are all from either from his allotment or his own personal back garden at home. White foxgloves, will they come white? Red foxgloves, some perennial foxgloves, yellow. There's such a lovely note with them as well, saying how they're perfect for my cottage garden. Some California poppies, that's the Escultia. They don't look like Escultia seeds. But that's what I've got out the front, in the front garden. Ooh, purple opium poppies. Oxeye daisies, they're lovely too. Nigella, got plenty of my own here. Muscari, now I'm not a fan of muscari, so he did say if there's any I don't fancy, I can pass them on. Yeah, I'm not a fan of muscari, so I'll pass those on. Oh, perennial sweet pea. Perennial sweet peas are lovely, but they don't smell, do they? They don't have a scent, if my memory serves me correctly. And then calendula. So I'm hoping that this might be calendula that he's collected seed from calendula where I originally gave him seed. So that would be a nice little full circle. But whatever, what a lovely gift, and what a lovely bit of London in my garden here at the cottage by the sea. Right, so what should we do? Let's plant these pots up. Ah, yes, because I have to stand up. I'm not, you see that I went to reach to pick it up and lift it over. I want to just explain one thing I've done with all the pots that are ready, but I've left one that I didn't prepare so I could show you what I'm doing. Okay, I've just cleared a bit of the table so I can get my Tracy mat down. Now, in here are, let's cut both ends I think. This is all in here, it's all remnants of compost bags that I've kept. They can all be recycled, so at some point, if I really don't have any use for any of them, they can go in the recycling. But what I'm doing with this one, yeah, this one's got a bottom to it. I'm lining my pots with them. Let's see, guesstimate the height. Doesn't have to be massively deep. The one thing about container gardening anyway, but especially with terracotta, pots dry out much more quickly than obviously putting something in the soil. So by bottom of the bag, I'm going to fit it, see if I'm happy. Yeah, so I just using this bottom of the compost bag, it's just going to help retain some of the water when I do my watering. I'm just going to make, my scissors need sharpening, a couple of little holes in the bottom so it can still drain, but it won't drain. It's actually noisy. It's not going to drain too quickly, and therefore I am going to have a bit slightly better moisture retention. Now, can I lift this compost up carefully? I don't always put gloves on when I'm handling compost, but I don't know, recently I just thought about it and I thought maybe I should. There's a bit of plastic in it. Inevitable. And then of course at the end of the season, if I want to change these pots completely or just refresh the compost, because obviously this compost will become nutrient deficient as the season goes on, then as I tip it out, just grab that bit of plastic. So if I'm tipping the compost, if I'm going to put it into the garden, just grab the plastic. Let's have a little tipping moment. Oh, awkward. Yeah, so I mean, it's like I said, it's that can-do attitude, isn't it? So, you know, if you've broken your leg, foot, ankle, whatever, you're not going to be able to do any digging. Of course not. But, you know, assuming you can get to your garden or your allotment, there are always things you can do sitting down. So, for example, actually what I need to do is I need to go and get the plants that are going to go into these pots so we can talk about things that we can do whilst I'm potting. So the first little treasure to go into a pot is going to be the little supermarket rose that Maggie, my second cousin, brought. I've deadheaded it, but you can see how it wants to grow. There's lots of new growth all over. So we'll have that out. It's been well watered. What I've done with my seed trays, I've got quite a few seeds on the go, just starting to show. But what I've done with them whilst it's been so hot and dry, I've just poured, obviously I've given them a gentle watering from above, but I've just poured water into the trays so that they can keep, the compost can keep wicking that soil up. Yay! First pot in the garden. How heavy is it going to be now, the combined weight of pot and rose? Can I do it? I think that's the other thing, isn't it, when you've got an injury, is every time you're about to move, just think and do it slowly. I think to myself, okay, I can manage that, that's good. So some of the other jobs, I am going to be starting to cut back, oops, just pulling out the bits of plastic that come free with the compost. I'm going to start cutting back that shrub that's more like a tree, that, is it laurel, is it bay, who knows, but it's certainly too big for this space. And right next to the wall. Now obviously some parts of it, sorry this is a bit noisy, the composty bit, isn't it? Some parts of it are going to be just far too thick to do with secateurs. I'm not even going to use loppers, because the action of using the loppers, that puts strain here, so I'm going to limit myself to secateurs, but at least with that I can do the smaller whippy bits. Fennel. Now, you might think fennel in a pot, but it's such a beautiful plant. Even if I don't end up getting bulbs to eat from it, I mean I jolly well hope I do, it's going to be a really pretty plant. So I'm going to be really greedy and get and get 4 in here. Really greedy. This is a 25, is this a 25 or 30 centimetre pot? It's a big pot. Yeah, so those whippy bits that I'll snip off out here, and then also what's great about them is I'll fill a basket up with them, and then I can take them indoors, so then in the evening after dark, if I'm listening to the radio or some music or watching a DVD, I can sit and snip. I always try to multitask. I think I've mentioned this before. I find it hard to just sit and do nothing other than, say, watching a film, or the exception is reading a book. Yeah, so pretty little fennels. Once these are all in, I'll give everything a really good watering too. Pop it there for a minute. So what else can I do in a slightly broken, crumpled state? Tomato cares. Definitely I can be getting on with tomato cares, which I haven't done for about 2 weeks, and it really shows. Some of the side suckers. We'll do that together, either later in this video or separately. So I mentioned I bought some pelargoniums, geraniums, whatever you want to call them, and oh la la, how do I get you out? Despite the fact that they've been stood in that tray of water, they're really dry, so they're going to need a really good soaking. I'm going to be very glad of that, of the lining in each one of them, of the old compost bags, because the other thing is I don't have saucers for any of these large terracotta pots, so anything that runs out, it's just going to run out onto the patio. Actually, it's the sort of thing, maybe I will do this, and it's something you could do as well, is in terms of the saucers for them, measure across at the bottom. You want a little bit bigger than that, and preferably a bit deeper, but then have a list of those measurements, put them in your purse, and then when you're out and about in charity shops, you know me in charity shops, you can always look for, you know, second-hand dishes, saucers, bowls even. Yeah, why not have pretty bowls as your saucers? Catch that water. I don't know if we're going to have I don't know if there are, oh, naughty snail, you can go in the naughty corner. That's the gates, the naughty corner. Yeah, if we're going to be having hose pipe bans, but honestly, when you are in my situation here where I'm lugging cans of water from the kitchen to the garden, you know, anything to catch and save a bit of water so that there's less watering to do, the better. Let's talk about that actually, because I think it's something that might come up. I don't have an outside tap, and I'm almost certainly not going to put one in, just because of the cost of, I think I've talked about this already, haven't I? I'm having deja vu, but just because of the cost of drilling through the wall. So what I will look at doing is having a hose pipe at some point. I'm not in a hurry, but getting a hose pipe that I can just put through the kitchen window. Just before these got broken, I counted one evening, and it took, what was it? I think it was something like 16 cans of water to water what I've got here. There's not a huge amount here, but it took 16 cans. That's up the 4 back steps into the kitchen, fill the can, bring it out, down the steps, water the garden. So yeah, anything, whether it's these plastic liners or a dish bowl underneath, to help catch not missing drips, any, you know what I'm saying. Oh, no, don't do it with your right arm. So that's what I'm going to carry on and finish these, and then let's go and do some pruning. Oh, and the other thing I've got, because I did my house plants the other day, I've just got here ready. These are some of the small pots that got emptied as they've gone up a size, and my old enamel basin, and this is so handy. I bought this as a bottle brush. It's by Loofah Co. I actually got this when I was still in London from the refill shop. Remember where I used to get all my refills for washing liquid, etc. and I had some credit still left to spend. I think it's just before I left. I can't remember, it doesn't matter, but I used my credit to buy this. The idea being that this would be a brush to wash out my water drinking bottle. It doesn't quite go in, never mind. I've discovered it's brilliant for scrubbing pots at the end. So that rose one I've just emptied, it will get a wash and a scrub. The reason, oh, it's a noise and a half, isn't it? So the reason I've got the enamel bowl out here is I'll do the washing up out here, because then when I've finished, it'll be slightly composty water, put it on one of the plants. Always, 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 always thinking about A, conserving water, and B, less trips to the tap in the kitchen. Yay, right, well I'm going to get on with this and then we'll reconvene. Of course, there's a can-do job which I forgot to mention, which we should all be doing all the time anyway, and that is weeding. My goodness. So I hoed my main sort of sunny bed about a week ago, and I can see already that there are little weeds coming back. It's that thing, a garden is never ever finished. There's always, always, always going to be weeding to do. Little annuals that appear because the soil's been disturbed. Things get dropped by birds, and of course I will have missed some of the bits of perennials. So I'm just going to see, and I think I'm just going to let them sit for a while and see if they do. If I'm creating too much of a shadow, if having varnished them, it's just a sort of a matte varnish, if that's going to work to hold water. I got on with my washing up. In fact, that's a bit of spare from the kitchen, so that can go in. I've got some in the watering can. Yeah, let them... Oh, trying to reach with the wrong hand. That's just put enough in there to... That'll do. Let some of the gunk come off without aid. Get them washed, and then this water will go onto one of the bags. But what's next? Ah, yes, I can see my secateurs. That's my reminder. Please be waterproof. Please be the solution. I think that was just sloppiness, wasn't it? Actually, let me move them away from where I was sloppy. I mean, if they leaked, it would be a very slow leak anyway. But yeah, fingers crossed that has solved my problem of leaky sauces. Space is getting a bit tight now. What's gorgeous is the jasmine is now in flower. And how far can I go with my secateurs? Oh, quite a big bit. Yeah, the jasmine's in flower and it smells beautiful. I think I probably ought to try and take a cutting. Well, or cuttings, in case there's any fails. I'm not going to chop this while I'm standing with you. I'm just chopping it small enough to get it into the basket, to get it back into the house. Yeah, it's beautiful. One day, someone is going to invent smelly vision, and we are all going to say, yay! Although, can you imagine smelly vision if you're watching a cookery show and you haven't eaten yet? Imagine a show when they're doing some baking on it. British Bake Off with smelly vision. That might drive us all insane. Yeah, so this all needs to be chopped up really small later on. But I mean, I can't even properly get down here anymore. It's become a bit sort of like, I'm sure you all have this in your gardens too, that kind of corner of doom. The bit of the garden you don't want to go into, you don't want to tackle, because it's, okay, so for here, for example, because it's dark, I want to be in the sunshine. But because it's sort of, you know, it's overgrown and, talking about overgrown, someone mentioned that they thought they saw a sycamore, a self-seeded sycamore, I think what they had seen, I wonder if you can see it, is this, which I think is Japanese anemone. Again, it can be a bit thuggish, and the whole point of doing so much clearing here, especially like the crocosmia and the weeds, is because it's a tiny, tiny little area. I want to make the most of it. I want to have, you know, beautiful things that I really love, and it might be that, you know, it's only 2 or 3 different plants in the end. Foxgloves, of course. Just going with 2 or 3 different plants and a couple of ferns, and that's enough, because the stuff that has been planted, shade loving, yeah, great, but it's just, it's choking, it's all choking itself out. You can hardly see each plant for the next plant that's trying to choke it. You know, whenever you're buying a plant, especially sort of shrubs and trees especially, check how big is it going to be in maturity, how big is it going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, for sure. I understand the compulsion when you've got an empty, bare garden to want to buy big things to put it in, and oh look, it looks like a mature garden already. But if it's big like that when you first put it in, what's it going to be like in 3 years, 5 years, etc.? You get the point. You get the point. So yeah, before you buy any plant, check the label. If there isn't a label and you don't know the plant, just don't buy it. Come back home, go to the library, get a book, and yeah, arm yourself with some knowledge. Ooh. Right, I'm going to carry on with this for a little bit longer. I think that's about the biggest I can go to with secateurs. So I can at least take out all this spindly stuff, and then in another, hopefully about 4 weeks' time, when this decides to be healed, I can start to think about using a saw again. Can't wait. This Garden of Doom needs to go. It is so gloomy here, and I know that it can be lovely and pretty too. So yeah, off with their heads. I want the sunshine again. Actually, that might do for now. That'll keep me busy this evening. It smells nice. Oh, it smells a bit lemony, a bit citrusy. Anyway, yeah, that's some evening work. I might actually get my other basket and fill another basket. Do 2 baskets tonight. Good. In that short amount of time, the water has warmed up. Definitely beats leaving the washing up until winter. And they'll be dry in no time. Right, well, oh, to just say as well, the saucers, it worked. A bit of varnish inside the saucers just made them watertight. Yay! So I shall go and... Oh no, these are for indoor ones. I need some for outdoors too, don't I? Anyway, yes, I need to put that on my mental list for when I'm in the charity shops. Look out for some saucers. Well, I think I've chatted enough for today, so I shall love you and leave you all for your can-do days. Oh, yeah, whatever's going on, as long as it's not too bad, find something to do. Weeding. It's a dirty word, isn't it, weeding? Water on a hot day. Delicious. Oh, I need to sit for a little while now. Just for half an hour, and then I'm going to start in on some more jobs over there. So for now, I'm going to say to you all, have fun with whatever you're doing if you are able to, and you know what, try and find something that you're able to do. Sitting indoors, feeling sorry for yourself, saying I can't is horrible. See if there's something you can. Alright lovelies, until the next one. I'm going to paint water on the patio, yeah. Until the next one. Cheerio lovelies. I'm going to go and tip my water on plants now. Ta-ra! The ones I just planted. Drink up, little ones, drink up.